totally. It is about being connected to to your higher self. And also for me, it's about being connected to the universe or source energy or the quantum field, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
That idea that we are kind of co-creating our lives with the
Yeah.
universe, and you know it is working, things are working in our favor. And actually, even if that's a load of bollocks, which I personally don't think it is, but even
No.
if that is a load of bollocks, it's when you live life from that point of view, from that place of, well, everything's working out for me, like everything's working in my favor. Like, for example, I've just told you that I've been in a queue for Oasis tickets for the last 6 hours, and I want to shove a pen in my eye out of
Mm.
frustration, and I want to cry. And so I've been thinking to myself all day, like, everything's working out for me. It's fine if I don't get Oasis tickets. That's fine. It's not meant
Yeah.
to be.
Exactly. Like there is a higher order to things. My whole life changed when I started understanding life from that perspective. And one of my favorite phrases is everything is happening for you, not to you.
Yeah.
Let's use the example of relationships, just because it's quite an easy, relatable one. When we're calling in something that we want, it's ultimately going to be a higher frequency than we're at right now, right? Because otherwise it would already be here. So in order to get that thing, we need to raise ourselves up to that frequency. So when we put that thing on our manifestation list, the universe is like, okay, cool. We need to get you from here to here. How do we raise our frequency? Not through toxic positivity, not through pretending that everything's okay when it's not. We raise our frequency by moving through difficult things. That's what creates growth. That's what creates wisdom. That's what creates up level. So when things go quote unquote wrong, we're on the dating apps. We go on date after date, and everyone is a bit of a shit show. What the universe is actually showing you is here are your patterns. This is what you need to heal. Oh, you're feeling triggered. Let's have a look at that. What are your limiting beliefs? What's the low level of behavior that you keep settling for and accepting? When are you going to start learning where you need to set boundaries? When are you going to start healing and letting go of those limiting beliefs? If you treat every test, every uncomfortable situation as an opportunity to up level, all of a sudden, yes, everything is happening for me, not to me. This is so helpful. Oh, this was the most helpful, uncomfortable date I've ever been on. Amazing. I've just had a light bulb moment. I've had a breakthrough, and that you've broken a pattern. And it's just such a better way to live.
Just It's so interesting, isn't it? How we do get these tests. And like you say, the question is, what are we going to do? How are we going to react? And what are we going to learn? Now, I want to come back to this word manifestation,
Yeah.
because I know that this is really your area. And I want to ask you exactly what it means to you to manifest something. What it means to me, the way that I think of manifestation, because I think this is a word obviously that's become massively popular, but there are still so many people who kind of roll their eyes
Yeah.
when you mention the word manifestation, as if
Yeah.
you're being ridiculous, as if you're being really woo. But to
Mhm.
me, manifestation means, bringing something that you want into your life through a
Yeah.
combination of thinking about it, visualizing it, and working towards it, taking action towards it. But I really would love for you to tell our listeners, what exactly is manifestation, and
Yeah.
how do we go about manifesting things into our lives?
I agree with you. So everything you've said, I agree with. I think the reason why a lot of people roll their eyes when they hear the term manifestation is because there's a lot of toxic positivity out there around just believe it and it will come into your life. Don't do
Mm,
anything. Um,
yeah.
and that's partly to do. I mean, I like the last secret book, but the first secret books, I think they just bastardized and oversimplified the process so much that it became toxic positivity. So let's just agree that all of our feelings are valid. And I always actually say uncomfortable feelings are the most helpful feelings when it comes to manifesting. We've partly touched on that a little bit, but we can talk about that a bit later if you want. But yeah, manifestation is that which we draw towards us, the reality that we create for ourselves. And I believe that your manifestation is directly linked to your self-worth. We can only manifest what we think we are. deserving of. So if you want to know where your self-worth is, take a look around you, because
Mm.
you manifested everything in your life. Like nobody can say, I've never manifested anything, or I'm not good at manifesting. You manifested your whole life. You create, it's just to create. That's really what it means. To manifest is to
Yeah.
create. So what life have you created for yourself? You might look around yourself and say, you know what, I'm pretty pleased with my life. I think I've done a good job here. I like my house, I like my job, I've got pretty good, relationships with my friends, or whatever. When we're talking about the manifestation process, what we're really talking about is conscious manifestation. So
Yeah.
that's when we kind of take that steering wheel, because really we manifest from our subconscious mind. And when I say that our manifestation level is linked to our self-worth, it's linked to the self-worth in our subconscious. So when we start to consciously manifest, we start to say, hang on a minute, what in my life does not align with what I consciously want? Let me find the subconscious blocks that are stopping me from bringing that in.
Yeah.
Because 99.9% of the time, the reason we have not manifested something is because we cannot get out of our own way. And the reason that we cannot get out of our own way is because we've got subconscious beliefs in our wiring that we might not be aware of, that are telling ourselves that thing is not safe. And we then block it by
Totally.
doing, yeah. So that's a nutshell.
I love it. Go more into this. Actually, before you do, can you just clarify what you mean? Because in fact, one thing I was going to ask you
Mm,
is this idea that we are all creating our lives all the time,
mm,
and we are all manifestors, whether we know it
mm.
or not. We just, we are manifesting all the time, but we just might not be aware of it. Can you just clarify exactly what you mean by that before we then move on to dive deeper into actual manifesting and get, clearing those blocks and all of that stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, to manifest is to create. So we've all created the lives around us. And I also really, some people don't like spirituality because they think, oh, I don't really believe in things I can't see, even though, sorry, but scientists believe in cells and molecules. We can't see those. Once upon a time, that people would have thought that was, nonsense and woo-woo. Um, but really, you could explain all of spirituality of manifestation also through the lens of psychology. There are lots of sensible, factual, logical ways of describing it. And I kind of describe it a bit like, if you said to me, why does the light turn on every time I open my fridge? And I said, well, it's because of electricity. And then someone else said, no, it's not because of electricity, you idiot. It's because you open the door. That's what makes it turn on. And really, no, all of those things are working together. Like nothing's wrong or right. They're just different ways of explaining the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think psychology, quantum physics, spirituality, they're different angles of the same process. They're not, you can't position them. People do try and position them against each other to create contrast and try and argue that certain things are not true, but they're all true. Um, so we're all manifesting, we're all creating our lives, and some people are creating things they really don't want. Some people are like, yeah, I've created a bit of a shit show here. I've created, for some people, they create absolute hells, living hells to live in. Some people create amazing lives. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you deserved it, but it means that on some level, that's all you know. That's all you think you deserve. That's all you expect. And that you have limiting beliefs that mean that you allow those things into your life, that you allow them in, you create space for them. So for example, if someone has only ever known um domestic abuse, bit of a triggering topic, but if you've grown up with that, it's normal to you, even though you know it's wrong and you don't want it. They're not everyone, but some people like would be more likely to allow that in their lives because it feels normal, it feels familiar. And it feels acceptable. So until they start to look at, no, I'm going to reprogram that in myself, and I'm going to let go of some of these behaviors, limiting beliefs, and I'm going to be you can change that. You can change anything in terms of what you manifest, but it can well, I think sometimes when people say manifestation doesn't work, it's stupid. What they're saying is, I'm not happy with the life I've manifested for myself, and I feel a bit stuck as to how to break out of that. And then they say, well, manifestation's a load of crap. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, no, you're manifesting what you have in your subconscious. So
Yeah.
you just need some more tools to unpick that, really.
Absolutely. So, how do we go about manifesting the things that we want into our lives? I mean, I think we should definitely talk about love. And
Mm,
I think we should also talk about money, because I think those are probably two of the biggest things that people want more of in their lives. Obviously, this podcast is for single women. So, hence wanting to talk about the love side of it.
mm.
But let's talk first then about how we clear these blocks and how we get over these. And I love the way that you said most of the time it's because we are just getting in our own fucking way. How do we get out of our own way? What
Yeah.
what can we do?
The first thing is to develop self-awareness. So as I said at the beginning, I really believe that alcohol is a manifestation block, and one of the reasons why is because it's a numbing agent. It allows us to push away our uncomfortable feelings, and it stops us from listening to ourselves. I used to drink every day, and it was a daily act of ignoring myself. Oh, that's not convenient that I feel like this. It's not convenient that I hate my job and it makes me feel like shit. It's not convenient that I hate this and this and this and that I'm feeling this. Let me just pour some wine over it and it'll all go away. And we can't grow when we're behaving like that. So the number one most powerful thing to start doing is start listening to ourselves and start witnessing ourselves. Now, when we're doing this, we're actually using the front part of our brain where our forehead is, which is called our prefrontal cortex. This is where our executive thinking functions live. And this is the kind of police part of our brain. It polices all the younger parts, our limbic system, our monkey brain, our reptilian complex. It's where we can start to have a bit of manage our impulse control and manage ourselves when we're feeling triggered. And so even though our neural pathways are not muscular, they behave a bit like muscles in that the more we use them, the thicker and stronger they get, and the easier and easier it gets to use them. So every time we're doing something like journaling, we are strengthening our prefrontal cortex. So a daily practice of journaling at the end of every day and saying to yourself, okay, what went really well today? What am I proud of? What did I move through with grace? And what made me feel like shit? Now, let me look at that. Now, some people might say, oh, but you mustn't talk about what you don't want when you're manifesting. Well, yeah, you don't want to keep telling yourself, I'm stupid. I always attract horrible things. No, of course not. But really, if you think about it, our destination is always joy.
Yeah.
But uncomfortable feelings are the road signs to help us get there. So
Yeah.
when we look at where did I feel like crap today? What made me feel drained? What made me feel triggered? That's your internal guidance system saying, yeah, there's some healing you need to do in this area. And if you until you've healed it, that's going to block you. So when we start to get really like practice at right reflecting on this, the more you do that, you'll then get to the point where your neural pathways are so strong that I do this now. I don't even have to wait till after the moment. In the moment, I can hear this part of my brain going, okay, this is all about you. This is not about that thing. I know you're feeling triggered right now. There's a pattern here. You know what's really happening. I can coach myself on the spot and be like, right, pull back, process, don't do what you would normally do now. Now,
Can
it
you give
took
us an
me, oh,
example?
sorry.
Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
but can
yeah,
you can you give us an
yeah.
example of that?
Yes. So I'm going to give you a dating example. So there was a guy that I liked, and I remember seeing him, and I know we were in a situation where there are other people there, and he'd been quite flirty with me, and I was like, oh, I think he likes me. And I caught him out the corner of my eye, laughing and talking to another girl, and I instantly started feeling really, really triggered, um, and really felt like, oh, I just want to cry. I just feel awful. And I remember in that moment thinking, this has got nothing to do with him. He's not doing anything wrong. We all talk to other humans, we all laugh, we all have a personality. There's nothing going on here, but you're really triggered. Why is that? This is about the fact that you don't feel good enough for him. That's what the problem is. So I caught myself in the moment and was like, I know what this is. okay, interesting. I didn't feel less triggered. I still felt my feelings, but because I clocked it, I was like, okay, take a deep breath. This feeling will pass. You don't need to do anything in this moment. You just need some time to process it. But we need to look at this in more detail and start to unpack what's come up. Now, old me, when I was in my 20s, and especially when I was drinking, would have reacted and said something or done something that would have then made me feel embarrassed. And yeah, not that made me move through that feeling. I don't know why.
Look at me cute getting those things.
I think the universe is agreeing with me because it keeps
Yeah.